Hey guys, it's the Codic. And with the release of patch 3.27, monster damage got changed in the patch notes. Specifically this note which says, we refactored how monsters with physical damage converted to early damage scale with monster modifiers and map modifiers that grant physical damage gained as extra elemental. In general, these modifiers will have far less effect on how high level monsters that converted most or all of their physical damage to a specific element work. So on PoEDB, you can clearly see how monsters like the popular crabs, Primal Crush Claws, which converted only a portion of their damage elemental, had their multiplicative damage basically removed, resulting in what would be way less damage. And as a result, all these changes are also going to be reflected on their Spectre variant, which would have also been a very big loss in DPS for any build which used them, which would have, by a result, increase the gap between these Spectres and the current meta of spellcasters who have base elemental damage, like Rectifilers, who were completely unaffected by this change. However, thanks to local identity, the creator and the main developer for Path of Building, we now know that these Spectres actually got a secret, very insane buff. Essentially, instead of having a multiplier which affects all their damage, including physical and elemental, instead they removed this multiplier and added an absurdly high multiplier on the physical damage portion that is converted to elemental damage. This conversion multiplier starts as low as not existing when you have monster level 1 and caps out at an insane 300% more damage multiplier at monster level 80. This means this is effectively a 4 times more damage multiplier. This should result in physical damage as extra elemental damage modifiers not benefiting from this multiplier, which makes survivability across the board a whole lot better with physical damage as extra elemental map modifier. But it also means on Spectre builds, if we're able to fully convert these Spectre's damage and get them to a high enough monster level, we are going to be seeing absurdly higher damage numbers compared to like last league. It should also be noted that this change only affects monsters that convert to elemental and or have base physical damage, but it does not affect any conversions that go to chaos damage. If you're enjoying the content and you haven't already, do consider liking and subscribing, as it helps a lot with the algorithm and with our 2025 goal of getting 2,000 subs, after which I will be doing a face reveal on stream and here on YouTube. Now that we have established what the actual changes are, let's talk a bit about how we can take advantage of this, because it's a big 4 times damage multiplier that these Spectres just got out of nowhere. So starting off, you're going to want to make sure the Spectres are actually going to have this multiplier. So you're going to need a Spectre that has either base pure physical damage or one that has physical damage and converts a portion of it to elemental. What are good examples for these Spectres? You're going to be looking at Spectres like Primal Crush Claw, which has base physical damage converted to cold damage, I believe 50%, or Spectres like Syndicate Operatives that just have base physical damage, where you can convert the whole damage to one elemental type. The important thing is to just have an elemental type. This would also synergize it very well with Doriani's prototype if you were to go minus lightning res and convert to lightning damage as an example. You also have Spectres like Harry's Watch, which, like the Crush Claw, converts damage to cold damage, and you can then pair this with other means to get to full conversion of the full physical damage. You are also going to need a source to convert the rest of their damage to elemental if they only have partial conversion or if they have no conversion. The easiest and most reliable source is going to be Triad's Grip. These gloves convert minion physical damage to elemental damage based on the socket colors the gloves have, with 25% per socket and blue sockets converting to lightning damage, green to cold, and red to fire. Another source which will probably see more use this season at least is going to be the Sidhi Breath, which gives 50% minion conversion to cold and adds other modifiers that help cold based minions like flat damage and life, but it also makes them not deal non-cold damage. I personally recommend Triad's Grip since there are much stronger amulet options like Replica Dragon Fangs with +3 or Unetals with the extra sockets. As for gloves, you don't have too many alternatives, though I do admit it can get annoying trying to socket a 4 green Triad's Grip, but you just have to bear with it. It is also extremely important that you get your raised Spectre gem to level 29, as that is when they are actually going to have monster level 80 and get the full 300% more damage multiplier. Sources of flat damage as well are going to be very strong addition to these builds so that it can get converted and benefit from the full multiplier. So think stuff like ghastly eye jewels and plus level to raise Spectre gems are going to be very potent scaling factors. And something else to consider, and this is for attack minions specifically or attack Spectre specifically, is going to be Rallying Cry. Rallying Cry is a war cry that adds a portion of your main hand weapon's base damage to allies affected and has double the effect scaling for minions, which when paired with something like warcry, a weapon that has insane physical damage, will give your minions a lot of base physical damage. And you can of course pair that with warcry scaling effect and all these other things to make it really stand out. Just keep in mind, warcries have the power mechanic, but Rallying Cry does affect your minions, so you don't necessarily need infinite power. You just need to make sure you're getting to as high of it as possible if you're on a non-chieftain, for example. Another unique that you can consider using for the Rallying Cry tech, assuming you're not going Maru Erkis, which is a two-handed mace, is the Red Blade Banner, which can give you infinite war power and then use a one-handed weapon that has very high base physical damage. What the most important part is the weapon should have base physical, so Rallying Cry gives them base physical damage. This new information is going to change a lot in the Spectre build landscape, and I personally look forward to seeing what new builds emerge from it. Special thanks again to Local Identity for the information and all the amazing work he does for the community. Now, if you haven't already, do consider liking and subscribing as it helps out a lot. And with all that said, thank you for watching.